What in the world can we do with this? I've been standing around looking at this thing for a while. It's a cutoff from a piece of mulberry that I did, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. It seems like it ought to be useful, you know, but I pick it up and I turn it around and I turn it this way and that way and set it back down and go on to something else. But today I think I have it worked out how we can actually make something out of this, something a little bit different, kind of challenging, hopefully kind of fun. I guess we'll find out. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as we like to say here at Shady Acres Wood Shop. Howdy, let's take a closer look at it. The size is about 10 inches by 5 inches up and down, and this way it's about 7 inches. But none of that really matters because we're going to cut a lot of this off. I'm going to cut off this back here because it's kind of rotten. I want to get down to sound material, plus we have a big pith running right through there. I don't know what we have on this side. Kind of a vacancy here. Not sure who's living in there, but we'll find out. Basically, I'm going to cut this off. So let's see, I'm going to set it on my bandsaw table like that, put this up against the fence and kind of saw it off about here, and that's going to be the top and that's going to be the bottom, except that I'm going to cut off probably 3/4 of an inch or so. You see this bark inclusion here comes up here a ways, so I'm going to cut it off about here, something like that. And I have a shape in mind, and I'm trying not to talk too much because if I do that, then I'll forget the shape that I have in mind because it doesn't look anything like this. We're going to completely transform this piece. I don't think there'll be any bark left. I'm not going to make any attempt to keep any bark on there unless by the time we get to the final shape there's still a little bit left. I might try then, but getting there I'm not going to try to keep any on. So I'm going to go to the bandsaw, cut that off, cut a little of this off, set it up like this, drill a hole for my woodworm screw, get it mounted up on the lathe, and we're going to get to turning. So part of the reason I wanted to cut that bottom off, I guess that was the bottom, was because I was sure that bark inclusion was going to come apart anyway, and it did while I was making that cut. So that's how much I took off the bottom. So now it looks like that. This is the top. There's the hole for the woodworm screw. I think that's going to hold okay. I don't think we really even need tailstock support. The piece isn't that big. And it's going to be smaller before we get done here. We're going to be turning at 700 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. I think I probably want to round this up all the way, but I'm looking to see if I really do. I have to be really careful. I don't want to take it down any more than I have to. I guess it's going to be smaller than I had in mind, which I should have known. That's pretty round, isn't it? Well, the bottom here is as round as I need it. Maybe rounder than I need it, I don't know. So I guess I will come over here and do something. Not sure what exactly. Okay, I need to flat this bottom. I'm concerned about this a little bit. It doesn't really go beyond here, right here, and it doesn't go anywhere here. So I think it's just there. I don't think this is going to split off. There's nothing indicating that it will. I really want to put in a recess. I don't want to go with a tenon, so that means I'll be spreading that apart, but I still really just don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think we'll probably be okay. I guess the only way to know is to put in a recess. I'm just going to kind of leave you guessing what it is I'm making. For the newbies here, anybody new that's watching, this kind of stuff and this over here, that's gold to me. That's valuable. I love that. I don't want a perfectly round, perfectly shaped bowl. I like natural defects. So I'm going to keep this as much as I can. I'm going to keep this up here as much as I can. That's about all we have left. So I'm going to use a 1/2 bowl gouge to make my recess. Then we'll get back to the shaping, and I think I'll stick with 1/2 for that. I think it's going to be necessary to do what I want to do. Now I need to raise my tool rest a little bit so I can use this recess tool to put a dovetail on the side here. That's pretty good. Now I just want to put a taper on this, thin down this edge right here. This is a really difficult cut coming this way. You got to really push hard going against the grain like that, but we'll get there. It's going to take time. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to switch to carbide. Whoa, whoa. Actually, I think I'm going to switch to a different carbide. I think I'm going to try this diamond point. I have to be careful how thin I'm getting in, way in there, because I've got the recess on the bottom and I sure don't want the two cuts to meet. That would not be a good thing. Back to my gouge. I call it a bowl on plate, and I made one in my life. This is number 2. Not sure I can get in here to measure that. Oh, we're okay. Got about a 1/2 inch thickness. I'm not real happy with that gap I have in there. Well, that's better. That was easy peasy. Well, how am I going to sand that? I don't know. We're not to that part yet. Relax. The first one I made, I didn't have all these fancy carbide tools and it was a royal pain. Well, this is too thick here. That's better. Well, we're just about there, or we are there, I'm not sure. I got some rough cuts in here. I'm not sure what I can do with this tool rest. I'm going to switch to a shorter tool rest. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, I don't know if I like this little bump I have going on here. Yeah, that's better. Time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding with my Sandoflex. This is 180 grit, and that's as fine as I will go. I'm going to sand this bark inclusion here, and then this natural area right up there. When I'm done with that, I'm going to switch to my 2-inch disc, starting at 100 grit, working up through 400. I can almost get in there, but I can't. I can do most of the bowl here. I can do this, but I can't do in that corner where the bowl meets the plate. So what I will do is I'll sand as much as I can, then I'll peel this disc off, hold it in my hand, and go in here like that on top of the plate just by hand. So it's not difficult, it just takes a little bit longer. And I'll show you what all that looks like as soon as I get my mask on. Oh, and I'm going to have the lathe spinning in reverse when I'm using this at 275 RPM. Well, I'm gonna answer a couple of questions. I still get asked all the time, why do I sand in reverse? You don't have to. This is the first lathe out of 3 that I've had that has a reverse. It's not necessary. It's just nice, that's all. If you do your turning, finish your turning before you sand, and then feel the wood. Feel the wood going this way. Oh, nice and smooth. Then feel the wood coming this way. Oops, not so smooth. That's because when we're turning, we're pushing the fibers of the wood that direction, away from us. And that's why it feels good this way. But you go the other way, and it's rough. So by sanding in reverse, we can pick up those fibers, cut them off, and that'll give you a smoother finish faster. You can still do it if your lathe doesn't have reverse, not an issue, it'll just take you a little bit longer is all. So that's why I sand in reverse. The other question was, what is this thing? What am I using here? It's simply a cordless, this happens to be a Ryobi, a cordless Ryobi right angle drill. That's all it is. The latest question about it was, I think the gentleman said he hurt his wrist and he can't lift one of these. So what am I using? Well, I'm using the same thing that you can't lift. And I don't blame you. They're heavy as all get out. It's a big old battery on there. I don't know what else you could, well, there are other things you can use. I have one of these that I got, I guess before I got a drill, I don't know. Serves the same purpose. It's not electric. It's a whole lot lighter. It's an inertia sander, so it spins as you make contact with the wood, then this spins. And that's super light. So that's something to look into. And of course, these are a whole lot less expensive than one of those things. But it's light, easy to use. So there you go. I forgot I even had this. Hardly ever use it. But it can do stuff that you can't necessarily do with that sometimes. I still pull it out once in a while, but it's probably been 3 or 4 years since I did. There you go. There's my sanding story. Easy, right? So then I'll just peel that disc off. I like to fold it and then just hold it in here like this. Yeah, that's gonna work. Just takes a little extra time. No biggie. I'll see you back here in a bit and we'll put some kind of finish or sanding sealer or something on there. See you in a bit. All sanded up. Feels nice and smooth. It actually feels, it's fun when you have, you know, so many places to run your fingers over. It just feels good. And what are we going to use? Feed and wax. And I don't want to get it inside the recess until after I've signed in there. Of course, I just did get some in there. Because you can't, ink won't stick to this stuff. You can put this over ink, but you can't put ink over this. Oh yeah, that's gonna look nice. It was kind of a pain to sand. I knew it would be, but it just took time. It wasn't hard. I can't quite get in that very corner, but I have a way around that. And I just noticed, you know, I always put this on, it says 20 minutes, and that's what I've always done, is like 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. And then you buff it. But what I just now noticed is it actually says at least 20 minutes. So because it's so dang hot out here, I'm gonna let it set all night because I don't want to stand out here 20 minutes. Can't get that into. It's got some natural little cracks. They don't pose any issues, but they're there. I usually put some of this stuff in a can, but I don't need that much of it, so I'm just putting it on the brush as I go. Yeah, see, that's gonna look so nice. Maybe I will put it just around this inside edge where I can't get with a rag. Be careful, Phil, don't get it out there too far. Over here on that natural area, and you can't see it and I can't see it. Neither one of us can see it. Yeah, that looks really good. Someone just asked me how often this needs to be applied. I assume he meant because he feels like it'll wear off, I guess. I don't know, I've never been asked that before, but that must be what he meant. I've never felt the need on anything that has this finish. Oh yeah, I gotta get in there. I have to admit, this was fun for me. I haven't really challenged myself in this way for a long time. It's difficult to make the cuts that you need to make to get a bowl on top of a plate on one piece. So I'm happy with myself, and I'm happy it looks pretty good. Well, like I said, I'm gonna let it set all night, and I'll buff it up tomorrow, and if that doesn't work, I'll put on another coat and then wait 20 minutes. I'll do it in the morning before it gets too hot, and then buff it up again. Then we'll turn it around, start hollowing it out, and I'm really looking forward to that. See you tomorrow. Have a groovy evening. It's Friday night. Go do something fun. Bye. Well, I buffed it up after, I don't know, 18 hours or something. It's not morning. I didn't get out here early like I thought I might. But I have another fan sitting here right next to me, and that's helping a lot. Anyway, it did buff up just like if I'd waited 20 minutes. Feels just the same, nice and smooth, soft almost. I like it. We're going to be turning at 800 RPM. We're going to try a 1/2-inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. A little shear scraping. A little more shear scraping. Alright, coming right along. I'm going to take some of this middle out so that I can get my tool rest in there for a little more support. I think that's about the right wall thickness. It could be thinner. I don't want it too thin. Just want to see where we are. Well, how could I have a whole inch? What I do, maybe even a little bit more than that. And I know you can't see what I see over here, where the plate meets the bottom of the bowl. But it looks like we're about there when I look inside, but apparently we're not. I know I didn't take an inch away, but I just can't believe it. Let me study this a little more. I do not want to go through the bottom of this. Okay, I've measured and remeasured and measured again and did it again and like that. I'm going to go down 3/8 of an inch more, which will take the bottom of the bowl to the top of the plate. And I don't want to go any deeper than that. The plate is about 5/8 of an inch thick, and I'm coming up in there about 3/16 recess. And it's too thick right here in this corner, so I'm going to thin that down and blend it all together, and it's going to be lovely. And that's my plan, and I hope it works. And I forgot to say that I set the tool rest so that it was almost touching the bottom, so I can tell by the distance right here how much I've gone down. Yep, we're done. Time for sanding. I have the lathe spinning in reverse at 250 RPM. I'm starting at 100 grit, working up through 400. I'll bring you back here in just a bit and we'll put some more finish on there. See you in a bit. Well, let's see how this looks. Probably about the same as the outside, I imagine. It looks nice to me. Mellow. That's a good word for this finish. Mellow yellow. Who is that? Donovan? Or no, the other guy. What's his name? Come on, who was it? Who was it? All I can think of is Donovan, but I always got those two confused. And I know it's the other guy. Well, at least I think it's the other guy. I get them confused. Yeah, that looks nice. Now it's not going to be that shiny. Once it's buffed, it'll just kind of have a glow about it. Well, I don't think I even need to brush that bark. I already got it once. Yeah, that's good. Okay, well this time I'm just going to let it set for 20 minutes. Or a half hour maybe, probably. And then I'll buff it up and I'll bring you back and we'll take a look at this thing setting upright and looking like a bowl on a plate. At least that's the goal. See you in a bit. Be sure you stick around at the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this piece. I'm sure they're quite dramatic. We made a major change to the original piece, didn't we? Well, here it is. One mulberry bowl on plate in the books. This was a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun for a while. I'm not sure just exactly why. I love that bark inclusion on there. And the little bit of bark that we still have up here. Yeah, this was fun to make. I always said I wanted to do another one. And I'll link to that first one I did. I think it was probably bigger than this one, but not, the wood wasn't as nice or something, I can't remember. But this is just a real nice size, kind of cute, useful I suppose, just something different. I don't know who sent this to me. Anyway, whoever sent this to me, thank you so much. I appreciate you sending this along for all to enjoy. Oh, and that other guy was Bob Dylan. Now I forget the song I was talking about. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. I also appreciate that you took your time to spend with me today. That means a lot to me. Thank you. I'm looking forward to your comments. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.